when we hit 0, then we'll be done. So very good. All right, look at us. Look at us all fresh. We're ready to go here. All right, welcome everyone to Rise Up, episode 222. We've got Naria here. Oh my goodness. We've missed you so much, Naria. I don't know how we can do this show without you. Honestly, she's the one. She's like, guys, it's 10 o'clock. We need to start now. So my gosh, if you weren't here, we probably wouldn't even start the show. My gosh, what are we doing here? We
got you did Ricky fine last week.
Just wait till you see today. You'll see. We got Ricky over here. He was a double agent last week, and turns out he's actually a triple agent because he wouldn't let me in the room, because he kept switching the links on me, and then he switched the article that we were supposed to talk about. So I feel like, he's the mole in the group right now. But don't worry, he'll be a quadruple agent probably next week. So we'll be just fine. Iris is not here with us today. She has to work, believe it or not, because people have to work these days, and so we're missing her. But she sent a video for us. But I'm excited to get this show started. We got a great program. We got some interesting topics to cover. We've got a really cool story from Iris today. We'll watch a video from her. Naria will give us some recap of what happened last week with Habitat for Humanity and how any of us can do this, actually. And I'm going to share a little touching story at the end about me and my daughter doing a service project. But just a quick recap about what this show is, Rise Up. We are doing two things. One is we are showing examples of our core values with YSP, Youth and Students for Peace. Our core values is 1, responsibility, 2 is integrity, 3 is service, and 4 is empathy. And so we want to show these things in action on this show. And the second thing is what just occurred to me is rising up out of our ignorance, of what's happening in the world, and also how we can get involved right now, today. And so, Ricky over here, he's so involved with service projects his whole life. Naria is like just walking service mama. So I'm really the one rising out of ignorance here. So maybe all of you out there can join me and through this show. But let's start off with Naria. We kind of pretended like we were live with you last week. We knew it was a video. Maybe all of you out there knew it was a video. We're pretty smart like that. We can see the little play button there. But we have you live today. Naria, can you share with us what happened last week? Habitat for Humanity. They're doing amazing work, and sometimes it feels like there's such a barrier to be able to do, to build houses, because I am not a handyman at all. So, but help me understand what happened last week and how can we get involved?
Yeah, so actually construction is a personal passion of mine. I actually studied architecture and construction management, so I've always wanted to help out with Habitat for Humanity, and I had this opportunity. My friend Kara Pobans was volunteering for Women's Build Day, which was last week. So basically me and Aunt Carol and Sunhwa Reiner, we got together as a team, and we volunteered for almost 7 hours. It's quite a commitment, so that's where it might be challenging. But for the Women's Build Day, they had it on 3 different days. So if weekday didn't work, weekends also are available. But you don't have to have any experience at all. We did painting, so in the last week's clip, you saw that we were painting the top floor. So our goal was to do the top floor and then the main floor, and at least get a second coat on the top floor, and we made it that far. So that was pretty cool. And we had about 6 volunteers there, and then we had Bernard, who is the main guy leading it. Yep, that's Bernard and Aunt Carol.
Hey, Bernard.
Yeah, so I thought maybe we'll be painting all the rooms different colors and stuff. But Bernard was like, nope, we just keep it white so that those who move in and own the house, they can end up choosing what colors they want. And they actually build these houses from the ground up. Like it's basically an empty lot. They create the foundation and build the walls, and the volunteers do the more easy stuff where you don't really need to have any skill, which is usually the painting.
So this is what you might call primer?
Yes, so there's two coats. You have it was a mixture of prime and paint. So we put one coat and then a second coat. So this is the main floor. This is where the living room and the kitchen would be. And Habitat for Humanity builds these houses for families who can't afford to buy a house initially. And so they can sign up on a waiting list for certain houses that they're building. This one is specifically in Paterson, New Jersey, and they have chapters all over the country. And in fact, they even do international Habitat for Humanity projects in overseas in other countries where they build buildings. So it's if you haven't heard of them before, I'm sure you have because they're pretty big and popular, but check it out. You probably have something within your community that you can volunteer for. And they have things for different ages as well. You don't have to be 18 and up always. For the work sites, I think you have to be at least 16 with a chaperone, but they have things even for like elementary school kids, projects for them to do and build as well. So yeah, all ages, and it's a backbreaking work, but yeah, you get to learn and you get to have that experience and you get to make really cool new friends.
So just really quick, so you build a beautiful house and then what happens?
And then a family moves in. Basically, there's already a family that's, yeah, they pay like something like a mortgage. They do have to pay a certain amount, but it's something that's more affordable for their family, from what I understand. And for this house, a family has already been like basically assigned, like they've signed up to basically end up moving in and owning this house.
That's amazing. And then they just, I mean, people apply for it and they just.
Yep, they apply, and I'm not sure how they are chosen exactly, but yeah, usually it's an application process.
It's so cool because like it's just a way for people to give, I feel, and just serve some way, big or small. So how did you do it? 7 hours? That's a long time. I know you got a little one. Maxie's probably screaming somewhere. You kept soundproofing. But how did you do that? How did you?
Well, I have a wonderful husband who committed to watch our 9-month-old during that time. So that made that possible. We did have a good chunk of a break for lunch. So that helped to kind of rejuvenate because after the first morning sequence, we were pretty tired. So having that break helped rejuvenate us and we were able to finish everything afterwards.
Okay, well, so how does someone get involved?
Honestly,
how do I get my hands painted?
Google. Just check out Habitat for Humanity and you can find your own chapter or local Habitat for Humanity program.
They're pretty much everywhere?
Pretty much.
That's so cool. And they do projects all like every week or?
It depends on the community. Right now with COVID, might be restricted in some communities. With this one, they were limiting it to only like 5 to 6 volunteers. I think they normally have more. So yeah, it depends.
Cool. Man. All right, you guys got to check it out. I know I signed up for their list just yesterday. So you guys got to check it out. Thanks, Naria. All right, let's go to some news over here with Ricky. International news. What do we got?
Thank you. Thank you. So I want to talk about Myanmar. Myanmar right now is in a period in its history where, it's very chaotic. There's been a lot of things happening in the country in relations to its process of becoming democratic government. And more recently, there have been a series of protests going on in the country. So Myanmar was faced with a coup by the military government or military power in Myanmar. They had previously been in charge of Myanmar, but were replaced by a democratic government due to a lot of efforts made by the people in Myanmar. Although after that democratization process, they were given 25% power in parliament, which is a lot. but they decided to regain power in the country, and as a result, the people were very upset, and they resorted to protest to try to regain sense of power in their own country. As a result of the increasing levels of protest in the country by majority of the Myanmar citizens, the military powers in Myanmar resorted to a very violent crackdown on the protesters. So 149 people have been reported dead, and more than 1,000 are incarcerated. In response to this, the United Nations have condemned Myanmar and the military coup. They're urging the government to slow their crackdown on the protesters and allow them to exercise their free speech. And we even got a tweet from the UN Human Rights in Asia. And let me share that with you.
Yeah,
This is here. So yeah, they reported that they're deeply disturbed by the crackdown that continues to intensify. And you can see here, they have an image of one of the protesters who's being carried off to hospital. So the situation is pretty bad, but we're hoping it improves over time as increased pressure on the government.
Yeah, this is such a tough issue, and I know the UN is always doing their best to find the really appropriate way to engage in this sort of conflict, because a lot of times when it's domestic, it's hard. You don't want to make it any worse in a way, right? But they've chosen to kind of select this particular issue about free speech, and so I know this is yeah. So we can hope. Is it getting any better, or are we seeing any kind of signs of ripening for more I don't know, some kind of negotiation, or are we very far from that?
Right. Well, not far. I think the biggest hope we can get from the situation is that it's getting increased international coverage. There's a lot of countries speaking out against what's going on in Myanmar, and continued talks between the UN and Myanmar. It's not, the communication isn't closed. They're still part of the process, communication process. So I think there's hope still for things to get better there.
So you talked about media coverage, so how does that help a situation?
I think when you're putting attention on a situation like Myanmar and the protests going on over there, you're putting pressure on the government to talk about what's going on, to address the issues. If nobody knows what's going on in Myanmar, they have no incentive to stop what they're doing. Countries have no incentive to put pressure on Myanmar. So I think talking about it really does help in getting the peace process, further along.
And yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Hmm.
Naria, you have any comment or question?
No, I agree as well. Just being aware of it, knowing what's happening outside of our country, in other countries, that's really important. And especially with America, we have such a big influence on other countries that's why I feel this is valuable to really know about for our citizens.
Because you never know, it could happen to any nation, honestly. But the fact that we can talk about it, and I think if you suppress the conversation, that's really where things maybe can spiral even more.
Yeah.
Cool. So Well, good. Well, I guess all of you out there watching, you're a part of the solution. Hopefully you can continue to think about it, work out things. Takes time. Okay. Thank you, Ricky.
Thank you.
And looking forward to next week also. Now we have a story from Iris. Now, again, like she couldn't join us, but she did share this really cute video about, her and her mom and something that they're doing right there in their own apartment complex. So let's hear what she has to say.
Everyone, sorry. Hi everyone. Sorry I'm not on the call today, but I'm still coming at you with a good story, a good news story from home, my home, and we're talking about my mom. So basically, lately she's been doing this thing where she brings bread to all of our neighbors in our condo, and yeah, I'm just gonna do a little interview. What are you doing?
I'm gonna do my rounds.
What rounds? Your bread rounds?
Yes.
Where do you get your bread?
Huh?
Where do you get the bread?
Oh, I get it from the pantry. And they give us free food, so they also gave us bread. And if we had too much, so I thought I'll give it to the neighbor. And then they said, would you like some more? I said, sure. Then now I have 12 to give. So last time I had 16, so it's great. I have like 12 friends in the building. Now I have 16, depending on how many. And it's fun to see the response.
So what responses do you usually get then?
Oh, they like it. Oh, thank you so much. It's good bread. Have a European bread for you. He was the most excited. It was like, finally, some exciting feedback. That bread, I cannot believe it's so good. It's like, yes, eventually somebody will appreciate me. That's it. So, well, it's getting better. It's getting better. Some of them are like blasé, like, oh, that again. But I don't care. I'm persevering. Somebody's going to appreciate it.
All right, off you go.
So far, my Vitality didn't come back.
Alright, so you just finished your bread rounds.
Yes!
What's the best part about doing this for you?
Oh, it's just all the friends that I have in the building now, and then I can see what's going on with them. Like, Alex just finished grading the midterm. She's exhausted. And the dogs in the building all like me. So when I come to all the dogs are so excited, like here she comes. And and to see them all, they're all so cute. And also you get to find out what's going on in their life. Like Nicholas just lost his mom. So I said, I'm your mom now. If you need anything, come down. I told him, like, your mom is watching, so be always good, okay? It's so sweet and he's so depressed. So you're in the middle of everybody's life.
Oh.
Doesn't take much, see?
All right.
Okay, vitality elements. That's how it looks like. Yeah!
Well, you heard it here first, folks. Give first to receive and get those vitality elements. You got this. And yeah, maybe at first when you do a good thing, it might not be recognized, but hey, if you do it consistently enough, then good results are sure to come. Anyway, thank you. Back to you guys in the studio. Hi, everyone.
Thanks, Iris. Yeah, that's such a touching story. You and your mom kind of hanging out there. She should probably wear a mask, but anyway, we'll talk about that next week. This is interesting, how just giving, it's a little bit like one way, just giving anyway. And I noticed that when I was at the food pantry, one of the biggest issues is people like accepting the food, even though they know they need it, but it's not easy to accept it unless you kind of built this relationship of trust, And I don't know if you guys have any experience with that, or but that's just something that I've kind of come to know more. It's all about building trust and relationships. It's not just serving people. So I don't know, you guys anything to say about that? Or
Yeah, it
to that?
kind of reminds me of some advice that I've heard from my elders who have experience in these kinds of things, how trust is incredibly important within service, especially if you're like volunteering and you're committing to something. But also the fact that she's going around to her neighbors in an apartment, most people don't know who their neighbors are. And I remember advice from another friend. She said, like, peace really starts with being a good neighbor. Like, find out who's in your neighborhood, who's next door, and like help them out with whatever they need. So I feel like this is really exemplifying this, and it's really cute. And the fact that you guys were talking about bread last week too, it's an interesting trend here we got going.
Yeah, that's really true.
Right.
Because she was supposed to bake bread, wasn't she? Like make some kind of honey bread, but anyway, instead they were able to get it from the store or from the pantry.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I don't know. I just thought it was like really cute and like such a heartwarming thing to see, you know? I don't know, especially after like talking about Myanmar and like stuff that's going on over there, to hear this, and it's like it really just like, man, I needed that. um but yeah, also like when Iris's mom, she talked about, you know, like connecting, you know, with the people she's serving, and, you know, hearing about, you know, what's going on with some of her neighbors, how like one of the kids' moms passed away, and be able to, you know, support him. I think that's really cool. And I think that's a really big part of volunteering. Something I experienced too, you know, when I volunteered at, you know, food pantries, and I was giving out food to these homeless people. It's the way they had it was like almost like a dinner setup, and you had the opportunity to sit down and, you know, talk to some of these people, and they would share their stories. So a big part of, you know, volunteering for me was like, you know, getting to know these people, connecting with these people, creating trust, and, you know, supporting them. Because, you know, more than food, I think people that are struggling also need connection, they need love. Um, so yeah, I thought that was really cool. I'm glad I got to see that.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. Wow, you just stole my no. Okay. But yeah, the empathy, right? I mean, he's thinking about, right, even the dogs. I mean, my goodness, even the dogs need love too. Come on, you know? When she comes around,
Yeah.
it's like, what about the dogs, guys? So I think it takes a bit of courage, you know. You know, she even acknowledged, sometimes people are like, oh, here she comes again. But like, I promise you, someday they're gonna look back and be like, man, where'd she go? You know?
Yeah.
It's like building that relationship over time makes all the difference. So,
Yeah, I think it creates the sense of community and family, and that's what we really want to be able to create as YSP as well, with this culture of living for the sake of others. It's not just about service because you think you need to give back, but it's because you really want to give back, that you really want to help people because they really feel like your family.
yeah. Family, for better or for worse. Speaking of family, our feature presentation today is my service project. Yeah, woohoo! So, my kind of hope for this was to do something more official or more organized, and, you know, join, you know, large groups of people serving hundreds and thousands of people. But here's what happened on Saturday. I was pretty busy, had a lot of different meetings, and had to do some, not travel, but I had to go different places. And so by the time we got home around like 4:30 p.m., I'm like, okay, I have to do service. What am I gonna do? And, you know, my wife, you know, Saika, she's like, oh, just do it tomorrow, because, you know, today was a bit crazy. And I said, no, it's Saturday service. I have to do it on Saturday. And so I didn't give up. And so I just thought about it. And I remember what Naria told me about just looking around your community, around your area, and just finding problems or finding ways that you can make it a little bit better. And so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna pick up some trash. And there's like this certain spot close to my apartment where there's always trash there. I don't know, someone just I don't know, finds that to be like, there's like literally a dumpster just like 10 steps in the other direction. But for whatever reason, there's always a bunch of trash at this one spot. So I thought, okay, I'm going to take my daughter and we're going to go out there. Now, Naria has like these really fancy, like trash picker upper thingies, pokers. I can't wait to look at them. But I didn't even have time to grab those. So instead, I just pulled out regular, kitchen trash bags with like the dishwasher gloves, and we only had one set, and they're kind of smelly because anyway. But so so this is all I had, and I got Ayumi, my daughter, to come with me, and so she had one glove, I had the other glove, and we were about to walk towards this spot, and then it just occurred to me, right there in the front of our apartment, like the door, right in front of our door, there was all kinds of trash right there. And so we just started picking up one thing at a time. And, we kind of ignored the cigarette butts at first because, I don't know, there's other bigger things to pick up. But after we picked up those things, then we started to see the cigarette butts everywhere. And then they started to glow pretty much. So we picked all those up too. And by the end, we picked the whole place clean. Wow. I was like, wow, look at that. And I filled up maybe like a quarter of a trash bag. It wasn't that much. I'm not talking like heaps and heaps, okay? But, as we were doing this, and we kind of found this different strategy where, I thought it was better. Okay, why don't you, because we have only one set of gloves. So, with the other hand holding the bag and the other glove putting it in the bag. So we kind of were, figuring out the best way to do this. So it was fun, and it was completely random for her. She's 6 years old. So, but as this is happening, these different thoughts are kind of going through my mind. Like the biggest one was, how come we're doing this now? And like, what is this really teaching her? Because it's like, why didn't we see this trash here before? I mean, we live here. We walk in and out of this door all the time. My kids, they play right there on that lawn, and we didn't do anything about it. And I'm just like, I didn't feel judged necessarily, but it's just a thought I had. And I also thought about, would we offend somebody if we picked up their trash? I remember we heard from a service expert that sometimes people don't want you picking up their trash, and so, it comes down to that trust, right? It comes down to like, is there a relationship? And I realized, I don't really know my neighbors that well. I know the neighbors, like, in my complex and like one other neighbor, but I don't really know these people. And so like, I'm having all these different thoughts, I don't know, my conclusion is just simply, it's amazing what we don't see, even though it's right in front of you. And I realized that I feel a lot of times we're looking for problems to solve because we want to like be this hero kind of guy. But I think it seems to be more about just how can you leave a plus? And it starts with the thought, and to be considerate and to have that empathy that we talk about so much. So yeah, it was pretty cool. And then, so we'll see what we do next week. Just, I'm sure it'll come to me. So, what do you guys think? Is this a good story or not?
I think it's cute. And yeah, I'm glad you made the effort and that determination to do some kind of service, no matter what it was, even if it was very simple. So I think that consistency is very valuable and noteworthy. But yeah, just so when you said like some people don't like you like basically cleaning up after them, or trust they might take offense of that, or maybe because it might make them feel kind of guilty. But those are thoughts that have also crossed my mind. Like when I have this thought like, oh, I should help this person, but then this other thought comes like, oh, what if they get offended, or what if they don't really need the help, or what if I misunderstood the situation? And so that kind of what sometimes holds me back from doing something that in the first thought in the moment is like, oh, I should do this, but then like, wait, maybe not, maybe it's not needed. But I think it's actually probably better to go ahead and do it, because you have a good heart and good intention. And if you find out they actually didn't want the help, at least you made that effort, because you don't know, maybe they actually did need that help. So I think it's better to just move forward with that and then just learn from the experience.
It's a powerful idea. Just, yeah, go ahead, Ricky.
No, honestly, I was just gonna say, I respect your commitment to the service so much. Like, if it was me, I would just, like, hey, I can't really do it today. It's fine. I'll do it next week. I don't have to do it every week. So, yeah, just the fact that, you're committed, you're like, I'm gonna do it. I committed to doing it every week. So I'm gonna do it today, and I just gotta figure out what to do. Yeah, maybe, that's just, I mean, that's a part of, commitment, but also that's, part of having a good, I don't know, I want to say like lifestyle. You got to create, got to make it part of your life service. Otherwise, it becomes a bit of a drag or a bit of a pain to, like, keep doing this, every week or something. So, yeah, service is important. Sometimes you don't put in time for it. So I really respect that, commitment, for sure.
Cool. Yeah, thank you. I will continue because of you, Ricky. I will continue. I just need that validation. That's all I need. And this idea, Naria, like of just assuming the better, kind of start with assuming the positive. And if they don't like it, then okay. Then it's like no harm done too much. But the point is to just give, and it's okay. Yeah, keep giving. As long as you're doing it for the right reasons. Very good. All right. Well, we're at the bottom of the hour.
I have one update though from last week. So last week you mentioned the international synergy. So the date was originally this morning today, but hopefully you guys saw on their social media, there was an update on the date. It was moved to April 15th. So international synergy will be held at 7 a.m. Eastern, since it is being hosted in Korea. And our contestants who are representing North America are from Canada. So it's Rafaela and Tabitha. And so they'll be presenting their project with about Pornhub. What was it? It was arrêter is a French word, which basically means stop. On exploitation hub. That's what it was. And
I think it was.
yeah, I'm sorry, I'm probably butchering that. I don't speak French, but. So in order to vote, you have to attend. So for everyone who's out there, like try to attend at 7 a.m. And you also get to see all the other amazing presenters from across the globe, from all our 7 regions for YSP's chapters. And yeah, this is actually part of a big like 2-day YSP assembly thing. On the 17th of April, there will also be a youth and students rally of hope also. But the time is still to be determined. So we'll let you know as soon as we find out.
Thank you, Naria. And it's funny, yes, it should have been this morning. So I don't know if we let the word out early enough, but please be there because we want our guys to win because we're the best. And again, membership is open, only $7 before it's too late. So please sign up, and you just might even get a golden ticket to backstage for Rise Up, right, Naria?
We'll talk about that more.
Best
all right,
reward
well,
ever.
maybe next. Oh, what was that, Ricky?
Says best reward ever. You get to hang out with us.
Seriously, like what more would you want? Like, okay, with that, we're gonna wrap it up. Thanks for watching. See you next time.
Bye.